Hey everyone, just wanted to shoot a quick video of upgrading the charging receptacle. I'll give you some of the key hints when I get upstairs into the garage, but at the moment we're going to quickly turn off the Tesla 60 amp breaker. So we'll go upstairs and make sure that's off. Okay, so we're now in the garage. So just checked here, the lights on the mobile charger connected to the NEMA 1450 receptacle are now off, so I can take this out and start working on this. So the issue here is that the interior portion of this receptacle, so let me plug it real quick. So this thing here ends up actually overheating. So the issue here is really with the receptacle. So as I understand is if this thing is built properly, or these cheaper receptacles will work for the NEMA 1450 if they're stationary. So if you just plug it in once or unplug it once or twice. Now if you continuously unplug, replug, these aren't built to handle this, the cheaper ones. So you have to buy a more expensive one by Bryant, Cooper, or Hubbard. So this is the new one that we purchased. This one's by Bryant, and I'll leave a link in the description. And essentially the difference is really in these two receptacles here on the left side and the right side. Apparently these have these two like portions of this here, and they actually are built to move like for a plug to be unplugged and replugged. So that's the main difference, and this is what essentially is causing the overheating. So it's causing my Tesla Model 3 to actually start charging at 16 amps instead of 32 amps with this Tesla mobile charger. So yeah, we're going to switch these out real quick and hopefully see the difference and see, yeah, that this is no longer ramping down to 16 amps, because that could be a huge problem if you're expecting it to charge to 100% or, you know, for a road trip or what have you, and suddenly you don't have enough battery to go. So we're going to fix that issue right now. First thing we're going to do here is take out the screws. So another thing that you can do is, since we just took out the electricity here, we can also use the sensors here to see if there's any electricity coming through here. And just to make sure that this thing is working, you can see I plug here. You can see it turn red. So the plate is off. So we have another couple of 4 that we have to remove here. Again, make sure you are very careful here. Make sure you turn off your breaker. Again, I'm going to test this. Make sure none of these wires are hot. And again, none of them are turning. Again, that's hot. None of this is hot. So just good to double check, make sure. Don't want to be liable, and you don't want to hurt yourself. So they're very thick wires because they're taking in a lot of current. So yeah, be careful because it'll be tough to bend them. Take off this electrical tape, which is wrapped around here. Not sure why this is the case. A bunch of electrical tape, not sure why that was here. I don't think that's typical in your normal install. So let's give you a look at what this receptacle looks like here. So you have your ground, you have your hots, and then you have your neutral. So Yeah, this one's hanging out a little bit, so that's not smart. Not sure why the person checking this did not check that, but yeah. So we'll match these up here and be on our way with our new receptacle. If you look at our receptacle here, it's pretty much the same. They will be input in a different way. It looks like 3 down here. This bottom one right here is for whites, and then the top one is for ground, which is on this side, and then you have your XXX and your YYY. Okay, just to give you some clarity on this back one here, this one is labeled X, and this bottom one here is Y. This one is the ground, the white one, and then this one at the bottom here is your neutral. So you can see that as marked with the gold ones. These are the hot ones, or the X and the Y's, and then this silver one here is the neutral. We want to compare a bit. So just first off, sheer amount of weight. The Leviton one is a lot bit lighter. It's definitely more robust in the back here, and I think just because of the switches in the actually internal portions of this make this more viable for it to be unplugged and plugged back in. So yeah, I'm going to install this now. The wiring scheme is a little bit different on this, so we'll play around with this and then yeah, be on our way. In general, these are all supposed to be torqued to a specific spec. This one's 8.5 Newton meters, so I have my handy dandy torque wrench here, which is just based on pressure here. Go ahead and do that one first. So this actually has how you're supposed to cut these wires too. So a certain length. So they have each of these as the wire strip gauge. So it's always good to make sure you're stripping these to that specific length. These are pretty close, so I don't think we'll have any issues here, but yeah, the last person that did this, the wiring does not look super great. Again, 8.5 Newton meters of torque, that's in there. Ground is in. The least tough one. Okay, so now we're going to go neutral. They do move, so it's not super difficult to maneuver them. It'll just be interesting when I have to put them in the actual box. Spun it up a bit and it'll fit, but I don't really want any wire exposed because that'll just overheating and cutting myself. So careful, possibly wear gloves if you're doing this. All right, tighten this up here. Make sure that's fully in. Okay. Okay. Torqued fully. And the size of this is what is this, a 3/16? So that's the one for this particular Bryant model. Let me twist these up and just make sure that these puppies can go in. And that should be nice and straight. All right, get that in there and properly tucked in. Don't want any copper wire showing. Okay, that's 8.5. Should be good. All right, technically, I should be good with plugging this in, and everything should be dandy. Now, the issue here is that They cut these pretty long in case you wanted to move this around, so there's that particular issue with making this fit into this. Hey everyone, so funny thing is the video cut out for some reason. Part of the clips got corrupted, so just wanted to finish out the video and sort of say I screwed in all 4 screws and then put the backing plate on, so that I actually ended up having to buy a new plate because the existing plate for the Leviton one was too small for the larger Bryant one. So had to buy another one for that and replace it that way. So a couple of things that I ended up doing after fully installing was plug in my Tesla charger and tried to test it using the NEMA 1450 plug, and it worked perfectly fine. And the second thing that I did was do a long charge. So it's now fall and winter here in Illinois, so it's a little bit more difficult to test out the overheating aspect, but come summer I will also test it as well. But just plugging the chargers for the NEMA 1450 in and out all the time, it smooth as butter. You don't hear any clicking or anything like that. So the parts that are rubbing together, which is making it overheat for the Leviton one, it's not happening for this. So I will continue to monitor this and obviously post an updates and pin it in the comments below if there is any change. But in general, it was a successful install. And then I also have another charger at home that I can connect it to as well, which is a bit more. So it goes up to 40 amps versus 32 amps. So I did long charges from like 10% to 80% and no issues there. So thus far, everything's been good. So this is something that you can do. Now, if you leave your charger in all the time, you shouldn't have any issues with it overheating. And it's nice that Tesla's charger actually ends up using less voltage if it overheats and sensing that. So that's also a good thing that it does as well. I think with the other charger, it actually continued to charge even when it was overheating. So maybe the threshold for that one is a little bit higher, not entirely sure. The charging cable and the charger itself are much larger than the Tesla mobile charger. So with that said, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, and we will see you in the next video. Hopefully it won't be corrupted.